Hi, everybody. This is Dennis Becker. I'm talking to you now from New Jersey, beautiful downtown Dumont, New Jersey, where the weather is still beautiful in the fall. And have a guest today. Her name is Sharon Sheldon, who, if you don't know of her, you should. But before we get started, I want to do a sound check. If you could say something, Sharon, and then we have people tell us whether they hear us loud and clear.
Yep, I'm here. Hi, Dennis. And I'm in beautiful sunny New Jersey also, about 20 minutes north of you. So this is the New Jersey web chat today.
Yeah, yeah. So if you just type into the chat box, did you hear us? And we'll wait a little bit because there's always a little bit of a lag for Google Hangouts to from the time we say something to the time you hear it, which is a little frustrating. But I'll sit here and just wait. If you don't hear us, don't say anything.
This is good because now I can see the delay. Hey, Jeanette.
Yeah, yeah. Here we
Hi.
come. Ted
How was
Wasco. He's always here,
That
ready.
wasn't that bad a lag at all.
No, not too bad at all. Okay, well, that's great. So I've had a little bit of a cold today, so I don't know if you can tell it in my voice, but I'm not feeling super tip-top. But Sharon's going to be doing most of the talking anyway, so I just want to give a brief intro to her. Again, my guest today is Sharon Sheldon. I started noticing Sharon when she became a regular name at the top of affiliate contest leaderboards that I was trying to get at the top of too, and often she was beating me out, which was something made me say, "Hey, what is this? Who is this?" And she also came highly recommended by some people that I know and trust and respect as far as producing training courses. And then she joined Earn 1K a Day, so I got to know her a little bit better. And she became a speaker at my Earn 1K a Day seminar a couple years ago. And I was surprised at the time to learn that she lives very close to me, as we said. And in fact, she told me that um, she took her kids to the pediatrician that was actually in an office that was about half a block from where I had my old collectible store. And I doubt that she ever stopped in, but it's certainly a small world. And you wouldn't guess it to look at her, but she's been an instructional designer for over 20 years and a consultant to major corporations. But like many of us, regardless of the success and the good money, sometimes the freedom to pursue your passion and areas of expertise as an entrepreneur from wherever and whenever we choose is more important than money, right? So we're fortunate today to be able to learn some of the things Sharon has learned during her career, and I'll let her take it from here. So Sharon, thanks for joining me, and I'm going to mute myself now and just sit back and relax and enjoy myself.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Man? Okay, great. Thanks, Dennis. Yeah, I can't believe it was over 20 years that I was not necessarily working in the corporate world, but for the corporate world as a consultant. So I've been working from home actually for probably about 15, 16 years. So in that sense, it's been awesome. I know I'm used to working from home and being an entrepreneur, and then when I went online, a few years ago, because I just had enough. I was looking forward. I didn't want to be working for clients any longer. So I gradually worked through tried out some different things and ended up kind of back what I was doing before, but now for more generic training programs for consultants and coaches and others who don't have the funds of major corporations but need the same sort of quality. So I'm going to talk about how I create those sorts of programs and products today. And I'm going to switch to some slides in a minute because it'll just be easier to visualize everything. So I want to start actually with a poll because I want to use this poll feature in Webinar Jam. And if you go over to the polls tab, I'm going to open one up and see if this shows. It's, have you created any training programs in the past? And I'm going to start the poll. I'm just figuring out how to do this. and see if I can see it. Let's see. Can you see the poll? Dennis, can you see in the chat?
Yes, I can. It's
All
not in the
right,
chat. It's, for me.
in the
Uh,
poll.
and I think it just pops up for attendees, but for me, I have to go to the polls tab like you do.
Okay, so you would click something and then vote, and then where can I see the answers? Oh, I'll
Uh,
just give it a couple minutes, and then I'll go back and we can see the results of
yeah,
the
did,
poll.
did you check the box that says make results public at the end of the poll, Sharon?
Uh, mm, I don't know. I didn't see that. I didn't see that option. For some reason, it didn't give that to me. So I'll
No?
tell everyone.
Okay.
I'll give it another minute, and then, oh, there it is. I see the box. It just popped up. Okay, let's give it a minute, and then I'm just going to end the poll. And let's see if I can see the results. Okay, we've got 52% said yes and 48% said no. All right, so kind of a 50-50. That's pretty good. And the other question, so let's do another poll right away, is have you created or do you want to create an info product? So let's start that. And answer that. I'll give that a minute for everyone to answer. Okay. Let's see if I can do that. And go ahead and put your answer in. This is fun. I like being able to do these polls. It makes it more interactive. All right. Hopefully I'm not doing this too quickly, but I'm going to end it. I don't know if there's a delay. Poll end. And 67% yes and 33% no. That's
Um,
interesting. I would have thought there'd be more people
yeah.
who had the other way around.
Yeah, that would. Oh, well, you said,
Oh no, what am I
do
saying?
you, do you want to create an info product? Would be
Right,
part of it.
yes.
I
Right.
would think it'd be more of a yes, but
Yeah, more yeses for info product versus training program, definitely. So I would say that they're the same thing, but let me switch over to the slides so that I can ask some questions and actually do that. So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to. And there you go. Can you see it?
I can.
Okay, great. And I'm going to look at the chat so I can see that. This is great. And Philip, who's one of my customers, said, you know the answer. You know the answer to that. It's funny. All right, so let me move on to this. And my next question is, what is an info product? So think about that. You can answer in the chat as well. You know, are you providing people with information? What's the reason people are coming to you? Because there are all types of products that I've seen at least that call themselves info products. Things like webinars and ebooks and e-courses and video training, even maybe a cheat sheet or a resource list. Dennis, I don't know what you would call an info product, but like I said before, I think it's effectively like creating training.
Yeah, it's any information that you release as a product of some type, even a giveaway product,
Okay,
audio,
and
video, written.
let's see. I don't think any answers have come in yet. I've just got yes, 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 fine. I guess that was from before. So just put in your answers and then we'll see. I'd say that if you're creating info products, then you're effectively creating training. And when people buy your info product or your training, they want one thing and one thing only, which is results. Right? So most people are buying or signing up for your products no matter what media format they take for one thing, which is to get those results. No matter what the problem or question it is that they came to you about, if they don't see an actual change because of it, they're not going to be happy. And sure, sometimes they're maybe just looking for some straight information or inspiration, but rarely are they taking time out of their day just because they have nothing better to do. And even with something as little as a one-page list of tools, people want to see some sort of result because of using one of the tools. So all products, to me, should have some sort of learning element to them. And, it's fun to see some funny pictures or stories, but ultimately they want a solution to a problem, or they want to learn how to do something. They want to change something in their lives or business. I mean, Faye says teach others. David says anything that gives info that the user can benefit from. Marcia says an info product is a digital product that shows how to do something or that provides training on a topic. So perfect. And they want those results from it. And if we go ahead, if your customer doesn't get results, they're not coming back. You're not going to see them again. So here's another question you can put into the chat. How many times has that happened to you, where you bought something from somebody and never bought something from them again? Right? So just write in the chat while we're moving on and think about how many products you bought and you scrapped, or you left untouched on your computer, you returned, maybe you liked the looks of it, but you didn't follow through on them. And then how many did you actually see results from? So I can think of dozens of my own, plus just a few that stand out that really did make a difference. And obviously you can't make people follow through, but you can put some things in place to help them, whether it's through accountability or follow-up or support, right? So Dennis, if you had products, presumably, that you bought that you just either saw no results from or scrapped?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I don't refund a lot, but I think to some degree in our industry, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's the bright shiny object syndrome, which sometimes people are buying a product just to sort of procrastinate on doing what they should be doing, and they just want to have a little bit of fun and get what Eric Louvier calls the hit of hope. Maybe reading a case study of somebody that's done something, and 2 days later they have $1 million in their PayPal account. So they probably realize they're not going to get that result, but they're going to buy it anyway just for fun.
I never believe that. I never believe it. We've got, Mitch says 50% poor, 10% good. Got David says, how much time do we have? Countless bad ones. Oh, and yours deliver. Thank you, David. One says, who else? Philip, I'm about to use your podcasting product. Okay, great. I hope it gets results. You'll have to tell me. Who else? What else? Too many. So many I can't count. Way too many scrapped. Too many times. So everybody's basically saying the same thing. But so I was saying that you can build the results part into the design or your training program in the case of my products. So let's move ahead here. Here's what I do. All right. So, and what I'm going to talk about today. I follow a few core principles whenever I create a product, and I always keep these in mind through every step. I stick to a proven process that's worked for me over and over, and I'm always refining that. And I have a few tricks and tools that definitely speed things up too. And I'll go through each of these in turn, and go ahead and ask questions along the way. That'll help out. And I'll try to keep up and just stop every so often and take a look. Or Dennis, if you see questions that I should answer right away, just let me know, okay?
Okay.
All right, so let's start with the core principles. I'm trying to move along here. So number one is know your target audience. So that's the ultimate challenge, I think, for everyone. Everyone will tell you that you have to do this, but it's really the most difficult and the most critical. You can't appeal to everyone. I think a lot of us do try to. And the wider the audience, the less likely anyone's going to be happy, because you can't solve everyone's problems. So you have to think about what the biggest problems are that your audience is grappling with, and you have to know about the little things like demographics, sure, but also psychographics, which are things like how they think, feel, behave, talk, even the language they use. You also have to think about what they know and what they don't know. That's going to be really important when you come to designing your product. And then the next principle is be wary of assumptions. this is also where a lot of big mistakes are made. You have to make a few assumptions or the product just becomes longer and longer and longer, but then you can build those assumptions into your product. So I'll talk about that a little more in a minute. And next, when you get to the point of designing your product or training, always design with results in mind. That means you always need to be thinking about what people will be able to do when they finish, which also means that when you outline your product, you need to break things down into bite-sized pieces. You always have to ask yourself, can I do this with the information provided? If not, do I need to provide that information here, or does my audience already know it? Or do I need to break it down more, or maybe supplement it with something else? So obviously you can think about that and how many times you bought a product only to find that either half the steps were missing, or the person who created it assumed you knew how to do half the things they told you to do. I mean, that happened to me a billion times, especially starting out with things like WordPress. I had no idea what they were talking about. So the best way to make sure you've broken things down enough is my other guideline, which is don't be the only set of eyes. So what's clear to you won't necessarily make sense to your audience. Depending on who the product's for, you always want to make sure you show it to someone who can give you honest feedback. That could be an assistant or a team member, a friend, a customer. You can give someone free copies in return for feedback, or even a spouse or partner. I mean, I've had my husband look at things and give me feedback since he's in the business world and can tell me what's missing. So let's see, what do all these principles look like in practice? And that is my design process. I use a pretty traditional instructional design model called ADDIE, A-D-D-I-E, as my starting point. But I start with research, which is obviously not part of ADDIE, or I'd call it RADDIE. Then I analyze the research, I design the product, I develop the product, that's the actual product creation, I implement it, that's the getting it out there and selling it, and finally evaluate the results so I can make changes. Because I'm designing relatively generic products that are meant to be customized, I have to go about things slightly differently than the traditional model. And the process and the core principles are the same as if I was creating something for a very specific audience at a place like a MetLife or Merrill Lynch, which are companies I did a lot of work for. And the difference is that it's a lot easier actually to create a program for a corporation. They give you the topic, they have subject matter experts for you to talk to, they know the results they want, you can conduct interviews directly with your target audience. Of course, you have to deal with, the slow corporate machine and lots of levels of approvals and compliance and stuff like that, which is not a lot of fun. But that's one of the reasons I have to spend a lot of time on the first part of my model, which is the research. So ideas and what I'm going to cover don't just come out of my head, and they're not given to me by a client. So I have to do a lot of research to figure out what I'm going to cover and what goes into it. So I research into things like hot topics, what's hot right now in blogs, news sites, what's being shared a lot. So you can look at different places depending on your niche, but I go to places like Social Media Examiner for what's hot in social media, the Content Marketing Institute for content marketing. There's a site called buzzsumo.com, B-U-Z-Z-S-U-M-O, which shows the most shared content, and you can search by keyword. So basically you search for your topic to find good blogs that are updated regularly, and then I create a folder feed in something like Feedly to be able to check it regularly. Then I look at what's already out there, so competitors and similar related markets. I'll look at what my competitors and colleagues are selling so that I can make sure I don't do the same thing. I don't want to copy them and do the same thing. So I've had plenty of times when I was about to do a product, or I've already created one and was about to release it, and I saw that someone with the same market just released something similar. So I'll maybe add something new to mine, or just wait to release it for a couple months. I'm lucky that there's always a need for my types of products. But people don't want the same thing. They want a different perspective or twist. The trick is to not get too bogged down in worrying about your competitors, but be aware and get ideas. Then I'll look at what's done well in the past. So basically my own sales records, products and categories over time, as well as what people are asking for, both my own customers and in forums and groups. I keep a running list of ideas and requests from customers, and I'll even send out surveys to ask what they want. In fact, I just did one this past weekend and got enough ideas to probably keep me busy for the next year if I use them all. So finally, I'll start gathering research on one topic area so that I can get to my next step, which is, I said I'll look at the latest research as well and articles on the chosen topic. My next step is analyzing. So I go through the research and I start narrowing down the focus. So I have to pick a narrower topic, which is the toughest part. So I narrow it enough that I can cover it in one product. I always tend to bite off too much, and it's something I'm working on. I actually just got that feedback from some customers. I also have to think about, will it appeal to enough people to be profitable? Because just because one customer wants it doesn't mean that others do. Then there's who wants to learn about the topic, who's the target audience going to be. I have to think about my audience, both my audience, those who are teaching and selling it, the info product or training program, and my customer's target audience. Now, obviously, that's because my market, I'm selling a training program that then my customers are going to teach. So that's a little different if you're creating something directly for your audience. Like some of my customers have small offline businesses they're teaching to, or they're teaching to online entrepreneurs. But of course, it's best if I can address both of them. So I have to look at why they want to learn, so what problems need to be addressed, and I'm analyzing my research for that. What are the ultimate benefits? Why do those problems need solving? What difference will it make in their lives? What results will they expect or can promise? So you just have to be careful to not to promise more than you can realistically deliver. And that's also where you have to be careful not to bite off too much. So as an example, I had a lot of people ask me to create something on how to build a loyal list of email subscribers, since I seem to have one myself. And that course is coming out next week. But when I started, I already knew that the audience had to be people who were already doing some email marketing. It would be way too much to get people started from scratch in one course. And the why was pretty simple too. Ultimately, people want to be able to sell and recommend things to their list or convert them to clients. It's a lot easier to build a relationship with your current list than keep pushing stuff to more and more new people. You know, there's a lot of marketers out there who are constantly churning or turning over their list and trying to sell stuff to new people, which I don't know how they do. It's exhausting. The benefits of having a loyal list are things like the ability to learn more about your customers and then serve them better, or to reduce the stress of that constantly focusing on getting more people on your list, though obviously you still want to do that. And then the results for something like this particular product are things like a higher conversion rate, lower unsubscribe rate, higher lifetime customer value, etc. So I take notes on all the questions, do more research where I have to, and then get into the next step, which is the design part. So this is the heart of it all. Well thought out design and outline drives everything from here on. I have a template I use which always includes things like the target audience, that's the who from before, the goal of the product, that's the why, what are they ultimately getting out of it, what problems does it address, the overall benefits and expected results. That's where you go from the why to the actual outcomes. So all that stuff from before, from the analysis, plus the way you'll actually make it happen. That's the rest of the design, starting with, so I wrote down here, learning objectives. These are key, and they're the foundation of pretty much any instructional design model. A learning objective, which in the traditional instructional design is called a behavioral objective. It's a statement of what someone will be able to do by the time they finish the program or the whatever product. Not learn, not know, but do. And without those learning objectives, you really have no idea of what people are supposed to be getting out of the product. What will they do differently at the end? For instance, in the course that I'm doing on how to build a loyal list, one objective is that by the end of the course, people will be able to identify what their readers want from their emails. Because without that information, they can't write emails that keep their list loyal. So the key word is identify versus just they'll know what they want. That's not a behavioral objective. That has nothing to do with doing things. And if you have the objectives detailed out, then you can work backwards to what people have to learn and do as they go through the course. You can start designing the rest. So I'll list things like prerequisites. I can't even say that. Prerequisites are whatever people need to know or do before they take the course or start, going through your product. And that's where the assumptions that I talked about before come in. You can add them in as part of, say, an opt-in or an upfront self-study or any other way, depending on how you're delivering the product. For instance, if you're doing some sort of webinar, maybe you'd have them read something in advance. Or if it's a live classroom, give them what we call pre-work to do beforehand. And then there's the goal of each model, the learning activity. So that's where the actual learning takes place during that product or course or training. You have to figure out how to get people to implement what you're teaching right then and there. So in some cases, like a live webinar, it's really difficult because there just isn't the time for people to stop and do stuff. So the activity might be to outline the steps they're going to take, and then you send them off to do something and then have a follow-up where they come back and you debrief it and answer questions. I've seen a lot of webinar series like that. So you send them off with an activity to do. Then I have to go through the key points to cover. So that's whatever they need to know to do the activity and achieve that objective. That's where you break it down into the little steps. And I always add in some links to additional research sources because I want to have places to go back to, but I want my writer to have some good sources. So that's going through the design, and this is probably a good time for me to take a breath and do another poll. Okay? Head over to your poll tab. Let's see if I can find it. And the question is, do you have a product creation process that looks anything like mine so far? All right, so I'm starting that poll. And if you're confused, I think I saw briefly somebody said they were stuck on the poll tab. There's tabs across the top where you can click on different things, and you want to click on the poll tab to take the poll, and then click on the chat box to continue to watch the chat. And you can even look at the attendees as well to see who else is here. So I'll give you a minute. And Dennis, do you have some sort of process like that you follow?
I probably do, but I don't have it quite so formalized and in the cool way that you do.
I'll tell you, it helps so much. I would definitely miss so many things. I'm going to end the poll, by the way. Poll ended, and okay, we've got 56% said yes and 44% said no. That's really good news. So you do have a design process. Excellent. So let me go back and go through the next. So, and just write, let me go back to the chat. Just write down, how I'm doing so far. This is the biggest part of the whole question of how I create products that get results. So honestly, if we didn't make it much further than this, we'd still have covered the most important part. So I'm just going to take a quick look through the chat and see if there's anything. Right, Jeanette said, oh, you were answering somebody, Jeanette. Instructional design is the basis for our education. You're describing basic curriculum development 101. Yep, it's what they use in education. And you can apply it to online, and a lot of people don't. They're just flying by the seat of their pants. Philip says, where's the sort of option? I don't know. And okay, let's just continue on then. I don't see anything else in here. All right, so the rest of the process isn't really all that different from any other product you'll create, and it's really the simplest part in a lot of ways. And that goes into the develop. So if the first two steps are done right, the writing and development of the product is actually pretty easy. If you do a good job really detailing exactly what should be in the product and why, then any good writer or content creator can do the rest. It's kind of like the outline that you do in school way back when, at least for me, where if you have a good outline, then it's just a matter of sitting down and cranking it out. So my writers will do additional research as needed and write all the text part, then my assistant will format the content and create slides and other tools and just ask me questions along the way, and I have graphics people who'll design things like the e-cover. And the biggest element really here, at least for me, is the review and editing part. Somebody has to oversee it all and make sure that the design is being followed. If somebody like my writer veers away from the design, it can mess up everything. Like it just ignores an activity that's supposed to be there, and then you go through and you can immediately see that the logic is gone. And I'm actually testing out a project manager, I was telling you, Dennis, next month, with the hope that I can hand off at least part of this. You know, it's tough to let it go, but it's more about quality control and checking things against the design at this point. And then you get into implement. So obviously you have to get out there and deliver the results. For me, with my sort of products, that means I have to publish the product on a sales page, make sure the whole sales process is working, which is actually pretty easy if you're using templates. Once you've done it once, it just works each time. I have a standard sales page I use on my main site, plus a different one I use Optimize Press actually for larger products. And I'll have to set up any special offers, but that's kind of a whole separate discussion on what could enhance the product for my customers and for their customers. So I'll look at what other things could actually expand it. And if I'm teaching or selling a course that's just for my own customers, so if you're creating a training program that you're going to be teaching, you know, not PLR customizable like I do, but I'm the one teaching, then the implement part might also be have the step of setting it up and actually teaching it, all the bits and pieces there. And then of course I have to promote it so that I get sales, which is also part of implementing, which is easy if you have a good email list and affiliates, difficult if you're just focusing on something like SEO, unless you're a real expert at that. And I've also been trying out Facebook ads, which have been awesome so far, I'll tell you. I've only targeted my own email list with custom audiences, but it's been great because there are a lot of people who never look at their email or it just whizzes by, and then they might see my ad on Facebook. So that's been terrific. And then the last step, I know I'm talking pretty fast, so I'll stop in a minute. Anyone that has questions, just put it into the box. So the last step is evaluate. And I do this both during and after I've implemented the actual, selling and delivery. I look at sales, the quantity, who's buying, where they're coming from. I'll compare it to other products. I'll look at returns, which luckily has been very rare. I'll look at feedback, so I'll actively seek it out from customers, or if they come to me, I'll listen. I'll hear about changes I need to make or additions. Sometimes it's as little as a typo on a slide that I need to hurry up and go put in. Or somebody recently asked me for transcripts to some video tutorials I put in, so I quickly went to Fiverr and I got someone great who did transcripts, transcribed it all, and I just added it and then told people about it so they could re-download. So I don't necessarily act on all of it, but I'll do whatever makes sense and then deliver it to everyone who purchased. So just revise the product as needed. Whoops, I just went back. All right, so I know it sounds like a lot, and I want to move into the next one, which is some tricks for speeding things up. Are there any questions so far? Lisa said, I wondered about Facebook ads. What about targeting your niche audience? I haven't done that yet. I want to try it. Right now, I've been kind of nervous about Facebook ads because I was just trying it out. So the safest thing was just targeting my own email list because I know they already are willing to to hear me or listen to me, or maybe they haven't opened an email for a while and then they can see me. They recognize my face. So that's a really safe way. And I actually learned that trick from Ronnie Nijme, if you know him from PLR.me. Dennis, you know Ronnie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he taught me that. It's like his secret trick, so it's not secret any longer. But yeah, I also tried something last time where they have the option of targeting people that are like the visitors to your website. So I added that in also, and that seemed to help. So, oh, and Miles says, in the transcripts turned out great. Miles was the one who asked me for those. Good to see you here. Let's see, is there anything else in here? Any other questions? Things. There's a lag on the webinar. I don't know. I know there's always a lag between my talking and then things, me seeing, like if I ask a question and then seeing the answers, but I'm not sure what that lag is, Grace. Maybe Ted or John, if they're in here, can give an idea.
Yeah, they're in here. There's always the 30-second to a minute lag between when one of us says something and when it appears on the screen. And I think people were commenting about the fact that they were seeing what you were covering next, and the poll might have still been on the screen for them. So it was a little confusing.
So maybe the polls have to go for longer as well.
Yeah, I think so, but
okay.
But you've done all the polls anyway, so it's a moot point now.
Well, Linda said no lag. Yeah, I'm not doing any more polls unless I do it on the fly. And Bonnie said she doesn't have a lag, so I don't know, maybe it's an internet connection. So I'm just going to keep going, all right? So the next was some of my secret tricks, which starting with, these are my secrets for rapid design, having a process in the first place. So, okay, it's not that secret at this point because it's everything I talked about, but if I don't have a process, I'll tend to forget a critical step, or I'll sit there spending time thinking, okay, what am I supposed to do next? What did I do last time? So I lay it all out in Asana, which is a free project management system. If you haven't heard of it, it's ASANA, Asana. And each product is a project. I'll keep one as a template that I can copy over and over, and I'll assign tasks to specific people. I'll always set deadlines, and I always set them earlier than I need, especially from experience, like my writer is always late. And I'll break things into subtasks as well, which is a really good feature. And it also sends email to people when I change or add tasks, and I can answer something via email as well. So I love Asana. And then the next one is templates, which Barb actually talked about a couple weeks ago, as I remember, in her chat, right, Dennis? I saw part of that.
Yeah, she's always a big proponent of templates.
I love templates. They also save me missing out key parts or spending time thinking about what to add. Like I have templates for the design document. Like I said before, I keep a mind map of what goes into each product. So each part of a product has a template, like course books and slides, sales and squeeze page templates, the format for emails, tweets. I have a tweet spreadsheet that we can just write them in and it counts the characters, and I give people that. So I use the templates over and over, but just there's one warning there. You have to be flexible on templates. The biggest danger is trying to fit a product to a template that doesn't make sense, and I've definitely seen this happen with some products. You might miss out on creating important components just because they aren't in your template. Like one type of product might need video tutorials and another doesn't. One might need a calendar to follow while it doesn't make sense in another. So I don't want to waste my time creating something that isn't going to be used, or waste my customers' time trying to figure out how or why they should use it. So I have different templates for different types of products, and I just keep working on creating more. So be flexible. And then the next one is outsourcing. Big surprise. So I sit, and every time I'm doing stuff, I think, is this something I can hand off to someone else? Like initial research. all the little pieces of the product itself, formatting, graphics, that kind of thing. So as long as the actual outline and design of the product is detailed, you can outsource almost everything except the review and quality control, which I really have not figured out yet. I want to do that, but I just need to clone myself, and that hasn't happened. If you can figure it out, let me know. And the next one is customer feedback. So this is, I guess, a secret weapon if you can get it. I mentioned that my customers are a source of a lot of my ideas, and they keep me on the right track. They let me know when I need to make a change somewhere, and they'll give me advice. Like my customers are actually some of the smartest people I know. And since a lot of them are consultants and coaches and trainers themselves, they're always willing to help me out when I have a question. So it's really awesome, and it's one of the reasons I love doing what I do now, versus working as a consultant for a corporation. There have been times when I was feeling frustrated or wondering if I'm making a product good enough, and I'll get an email from a customer just thanking me for what they bought. It's incredible. I never thought I'd get so much out of this business from that respect, because I wasn't used to it in the corporate world. They don't do that kind of thing. They don't thank you. So that's just an aside. So moving on, my next little hack is Evernote. This is the most amazing tool ever invented, next to maybe Dropbox. I save everything I come across that might be a help for a new product or for when I'm researching a specific product. So first, I have everything organized in notebooks, just like you would have a paper notebook. But more importantly, I tag everything so that I can find stuff on a specific topic, like social media or Pinterest or list building or sales cycles or sales copy. And then I use their web clipper extension. There's a little extension you put in your browser to clip anything that looks interesting that I come across, and I tag it. And the web clipper I have on my iPad. I have it, in the all my different browsers. I've never used it on my phone, but I do have Evernote on my phone as well. So every device, they have something. And I just save it. I can create swipe files just by saving sales pages I like, or even emails, because you can forward an email to Evernote and tag it and say which notebook you want it in. So I'll save emails from customers with ideas, and I can save PDFs from freebies or ebooks. You can drag and drop photos into it. So I'm like doing the sales pitch for Evernote here. But basically then I always have somewhere to go when I need ideas and inspiration. And then my final tool for speeding things up is FreeMind. So, whoops, I'm going backwards. I mentioned this one earlier, that I have a mind map of my design, and this is a free mind mapping tool. I think the URL is something like freemind.sourceforge.net. If anyone knows it and could put it in the chat, that would be great. I lay out my basic design and all the components of a product in it, and I have a template. And if you look on that slide, you can see a very tiny one of the outline I did for my next course, but it's not actually as bad as it looks. You can expand and contract or collapse the branches and just move around really easily. You just drag it around. So it's really not that bad. And I outline the target audience at the top, learning objectives, all the different modules and key points. And I hope you can't hear the garage door opening right now, because I can hear my sons coming home from school. Can you hear that, Dennis?
Yeah, I heard a little hum.
Okay, well,
no big deal.
Yeah, hopefully they won't come in and knock on the door. They should know better. I told them not to. So just, I'm going to open up for questions in a second, but just a few parting words. So remember, people aren't giving you money because they're being charitable, right? You need to focus on giving people the skills and tools they need to get results, and you'll have loyal customers for life. So that's all I have for you. I really hope this hasn't been completely overwhelming. So I guess we can look at questions, and if you guys have any secrets of your own, please put them in the chat so I can read them out. And let me just exit out of this slideshow so that you can, oh, I have to stop the screen share to do that. Hang on, let me figure this out. Stop screen share. Ah, I'm back. Okay. So let me turn off the lower third also so that you don't have to see that on top of me. Sorry, guys. There we go. All right. I'm only getting the hang of this. Dennis, do you have any questions before we go through?
No, I don't have any specific questions, Sharon. I think what you've taught us here is great. Personally, I don't think of product creation in quite a linear fashion as you do, and I possibly should. But
well, you have really thorough ebooks that you put together with the checklists and everything. So you have some of the most thorough ones I've ever seen.
Yeah, thank you.
A lot.
Yeah.
So let's see. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I was just going to say I don't have quite the upfront process as you do as far as the research and defining and all that, but it eventually gets done through outlining and through and then through the rest. But yeah, it's a struggle sometimes.
Yeah, there's nothing like a good outline. I love outlines.
Yeah, if you can outline properly, then you can just write from there.
Mm-hmm.
And,
hey, that's how I made it through college. We didn't have word processors. We're lucky to have the typewriter. That's how old I am. It was when I graduated college that they finally had computers, and then when I went to business school, suddenly it was a different world where we worked on projects. But in college, I would create a really detailed outline and then just sit down and type it, and that was it. I wasn't going to redo anything. So it's lazy. Let me see what the questions are. Everybody's saying really nice things about my products. This was amazing use of Google+. Do you have a checklist we could follow? Judy, I assume you mean for a Hangout, Google+ Hangout. And Ted and John did a Hangout last week, and they had a checklist, actually. I don't know, Dennis, whether you have the
yeah,
if
they were to go to, if you look at my lower third, weeklywebchat.com,
mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a site where I have archives of all the prior chats. So if you look for the one that was with John Paduchek and Ted Wasco, you could watch that. But also, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I have a link to their giveaway, which was a very detailed and great, I would say, checklist of Google Hangouts. So you should be able to pick it up there.
Yeah, that's definitely good. Let me see if I can find where the questions start. Philip said that's why I saw your ads. It was the Facebook ads. Yes, because I had you on the list. Let's see. Don't have a lag. We're talking about lags. Oh, John's in there, so he'll tell you. John Patuchek. Linda said, I thought you said I lay them out in a sauna. A sauna, A-S-A-N-A. There you go. That's the name of the project manager.
I saw that. That made me laugh, too.
I'm not sitting in a sauna here. Grace asked, how many people are you working with? I thought you were on your own, but your secret weapon seems to be really outsourcing. That is a huge difference. When I started outsourcing, that's when I was really able to start building up products and spend the time more on the design. So I have a writer I work with. I really need to find others because relying on one is not such a great idea. Then I have an assistant who helps, who's like, does all the little bits, whatever I think of that I need. I just say, hey, Sophia, can you do this? And she says, okay, I'll try. So she helps out with all sorts of things. And graphics, I use Fiverr a lot actually. So I found some graphics people on Fiverr with e-covers, and now we really do the e-covers more ourselves. I have somebody who did my last set, which was terrific. And if we have a flat design, I use Box Shot King. And all you do is put your flat PNG into the, what do you call it, the framework that they have, and you can produce all different covers. So that's really easy. And who else? The transcripts I had done on Fiverr. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. My daughter used to help a lot. I really miss her. She's at college. She was my editor. She would find all the mistakes in anything and say when things weren't clear. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. I keep doing it myself now. She just has to work for me while she's at college. That's all there is. Let me see what other questions.
I like Brian's comment here. He says, my secret tip is buying your product, Sharon. So
thank you.
That's nice.
Philip said, how can I get a copy of that tweet template character counter? Philip, don't you have some of my stuff already? It's actually a pretty simple template, but just, I don't know, contact me separately. I'll make sure you have it. It's just a spreadsheet, and then there's a formula that you can put in one column. And I can't remember it offhand because once I had it set up, that was it. You can probably look in Excel and find out, but it counts the characters in the previous column and then tells you. So just contact me. I love Evernote, Lisa said. For Mac users, another great one is Circus Ponies. What's that? Is that like an Evernote, David? No, just type that as in, have you heard of that, Dennis?
No, I'm not a Mac person, so no, never heard of it.
Nope. Linda put in the URL for FreeMind, so if anybody's looking for that, just scroll down, freemind.sourceforge.net, which is what I said.
Or just just do a Google search for download FreeMind, and it'll pop right at the top.
Yeah.
Is what I always do.
Yeah. Philip said, are your slides going to be available? I can send them out somehow. I can send it out to my list. I don't know how I'd send it out to everyone else. But if you sign up for my list, then you'll get it. Brian, very funny. David, where do you outsource for writing? I just have the one person, and he was actually recommended to me. So I can probably get you his name. I'm willing to give it away. Terry, are your design process and templates in any of your products that we get to buy? No, I don't have it laid out, not the design process. The templates for the products you're basically getting when you buy one of the products because you can use it as a template, but the design process I don't have. I'll have to think about that one. That could definitely be a product, how to create a product. So, okay, I'll put it down as an idea for another one. Let's see, Jeanette said, great video, using the technology well, thank you. Top tip, Miles also said, buy my products. Lisa said, someone referred to me to this webinar, where can I get detailed quality information on developing the sales pages and marketing? The sales pages, I'm just using OptimizePress 2 for my sales pages. So I just use their tutorials to follow. OptimizePress is both a theme and a plugin. You can use it either way. And I love it. I had the old one, and then I bought the new one and used it as a plugin. And basically what I do is I set up one template that I liked, and we refined it over time, and I just use it over and over. Because once you've done it once, you're set. At least, to keep your own branding, you don't want it to look different every time. But there are 1,000,001 plugins for sales pages and opt-in pages, and it's just a matter of finding the one you like. Dennis, do you have a favorite one that you use?
Excuse me, I use WP Enlighten, which is from Rapid Crush, which I really love.
Yeah. All right, so everybody has their favorite. What else? Oh, you wanted detailed information on marketing. Well, Dennis has a lot. Right, Dennis? On marketing? Uh, what else? I'm looking to see other questions. Linda said that's how my brain works too, linearly. Is that a word? In a
Yeah, it's a word.
linear fashion, but linearly. Okay.
A couple of
We
people that
just
want to
invented.
know how to get a hold of you. What your website is or how to sign up for your list. Didn't you have a pop-in that you wanted to?
Oh, yes, yes. If you go to the pop-ins tab, and I have to check that off to actually show it. Good point. Thank you, Dennis. So if you go to the pop-ins tab, there's 30 ways to use ready-to-go content to build your business faster. This is a training I put together that talks about how to use the ready-to-go content in 7 key areas of your business. So that's 7 different goals for your business and all sorts of ideas, which it wouldn't have to be, my content, but any content of your own, just ways to repurpose it and use it in different parts. But obviously I'm talking about the ready to go or customizable or PLR, whatever you want to call it. I'm always playing with a different name. We were talking, Dennis, earlier about finding the right name, rebrandable, white label.
Yeah.
So you can sign up for the list there. And there's a video training that's broken out by chapters. I did my first video that has a table of contents, which I was very excited about. And that was in Camtasia. And there's also some downloads for people that don't want to watch video. There's a PDF and infographic, so I tried to put it in different formats. Um, let's see. Oh, Bonnie. Bonnie was the one. Bonnie, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Bonnie. It's Gean. She did my graphics for the one that's coming out next week. And um, let's see, what other questions do you see in here? Gary said, as a buyer, licensing seems to be a murky place. PLR, MRR, etc. There are so many variables in buyer situations, but broad terms can tend to put unintended limits on potential customers. For instance, in your products, they cannot be added to free membership sites. However, we have a 2-tiered membership site, free and paid. So does it mean I can't add the products at all? You can only add them in the paid part. And that's because I don't want to reduce the value. So this is a big problem with PLR. If it's out there and people are just handing it out for free, it reduces the value for everyone. And I want to make sure that it's as valuable as possible in being used. So the promotion material I included something is for free, but the rest is either paid or as part of an opt-in, where people are at least giving an email. So they're paying for it in a way. I hope that's clear. Dennis, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. There's so many um, pages that I go to, something that I might want to use in my paid membership that I'd love to, but it just isn't clear on the sales page whether I can or I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And it just drives me nuts. And sometimes if I feel in a good mood, I'll contact the author and get a clarification, but usually I just move on and they've lost an opportunity.
Yeah, and you don't want something that other people are giving away for free in your paid membership.
No, I don't. There's a lot of you go to the Warrior Forum and there's a lot of free downloads, and they say you can give this away for free and all that, and I just don't have the time for it because it's typically they've got links in the material that is going to be monetized in some way, and that's fine, but I just don't want to waste
Well,
my time or my members' time with passing that on.
well, it's not even that. What I'm saying is, if you buy some PLR and then you're allowed to give it away for free, that reduces the value for your paid members,
Right.
right? Because the whole point is they can get access to stuff that they'd have to buy elsewhere,
Right.
right? So that's the point I was thinking. And Bonnie just put the formula in for counting the characters in a cell. So if you put in that equals LEN and in the parentheses A2, so that would just be the row or to the left. So if you put that, I shouldn't go into an Excel tutorial here, but if you want to know, just contact me. Philip said I use Apple numbers. I don't know what that is, Phil. Please explain. John said his daughter also does editing for him. Everyone's still saying secret weapon, sauna. Heating up everything. Wait, I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Marcia asked, how large is your team? How long did it take you to assemble them? I've been gradually working on this for a year. I started with my writer pretty close to the beginning of my business, and then I tried out one assistant in the Philippines, which did not work out. And she was pretty good. There were some language barriers, but the time difference just didn't work out. And we would, because there's some language barriers, it couldn't go back and forth, so that didn't work out. And so that takes a while to find the right people. Somebody else, Phil also said, talk briefly about finding your team. A lot of people say get recommendations, but honestly, I've only had 1 or 2 good experiences with recommendations. On the graphics, that was a good experience. The writer actually was recommended to me years ago, so that was lucky. Actually, I shouldn't say that. So recommendations have worked out well. I have the project manager I'm trying out was also recommended, so I take that back. You just have to be really careful, because if someone's recommended and then they don't work out, it's a little bit of a touchy situation. Dennis, we were talking about this earlier. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you do when it's a friend?
Exactly. And if somebody is so good, why would someone recommend them to you?
Well, if it's someone that's a freelancer and you're not using all their time, then
true.
keeping them busy is good.
Yeah.
Grace said she can recommend a writer on Odesk. Please tell me, Grace. I can't promise I'll hire them though. I think that's it. Do you see anything else?
No, I don't.
Bonnie said, how long from research to final product does it take you to create the training? It really varies, but it ends up taking, if I was working flat out, it would probably take a month. But there tends to be a delay. Excuse me, I've got to grab a sip of water. So, for instance, my writer needs a certain amount of time, so I'll spend some time on the design. You know, Sophia first does the research, I'll do the design, then it goes to my writer. He needs at least a couple weeks, depending on how big the product is. If it has lots of moving pieces, it's going to take him longer. Then we've got editing and putting all the other pieces, so at least a month, actually, with other stuff going on at the same time. Edna said we would need a tutorial on how to use Webinar Jam. Edna, John Paduchak, and Ted, whose last name I can't pronounce, Wasco. They're the experts, and I think they're here in the chat. So Ted and John, put in your info. Great ebook. Grace.
Or Ted and John were the guest on the last.
Yeah. Oh, right. You can just watch that.
So just watch it at weeklywebchat.com.
Yeah, definitely. Grace asked, whoops, this is scrolling down too fast. Question about promotional language, things like learning objectives, audience prerequisites, etc. Do you pass those details on to your customers in your products so they can use those details in their promotions of ready-to-go training? Yes, they're in the product. They're in the course book itself that I do, the learning objectives, so that people see right up front what they're going to be learning. I have them in the slides as well. Prerequisites are going to be in the design, so I usually have in a mind map that I include. So, and I also in my bigger training I put in a facilitator guide, which will have all the details outlined of what you need. It'll have an overview, what the learning objectives are, what the target audience is, other things that you need to run it. So yeah, I put all of that in. And yeah, you would be able to use that in your own promotion, the learning objectives and stuff like that. Bill said, Apple Numbers is Apple's version of spreadsheets, right? I mean, not everyone uses Microsoft Office. Janetta, do you do the PowerPoints? Yes, we do the PowerPoints. I'm now working on doing a standard design template for that as well, and so it makes it a little easier. And I think that's it. No? Do you see anything else, Dennis? Ooh, right on time.
Um, no, there's been a lot of questions, but I think you've pretty well covered it.
Right. Mike asked where the replay for the original link is. The Dennis?
Weeklywebchat.com.
Okay.
This this will get uploaded to YouTube automatically right after we finish, and within 10-15 minutes you'll be able to watch the replay. You can either use the link that brought you here, since you're on here,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll then be watching the YouTube replay, or you can go to weeklywebchat.com, and it'll take a little bit longer for me to get that link there, but not a whole lot longer.
Okay. There were some other recommendations of tools in here. I've got Marcia uses OneNote. Is Evernote that much better? I don't really know OneNote. I think my son uses it. That's the Microsoft one, right? And I just like Evernote. It has all those extensions, and I can use it on every device. So I just don't know. And then BJ says Circus Ponies is a notebook. Oh, okay. I use Opus Domini, which is like a Franklin Covey organizer. Yeah, there's so many organizers out there. But I love Evernote. And I think I got pretty much anything. If anyone still has a question, you can always email me. I'm Sharon, SHARYN, at businesscontentplr.com. And I can put that into the chat, actually. Oops, I can spell. One of these days I'm going to rebrand myself and get rid of the PLR, just so you know. And if anyone has any ideas, okay, hopefully that'll go in. Oh, Jeanette, thanks. Best hangout I've attended. Oh, that's so great. And Grace, oh, iThoughts HD on the iPad. I use that. I love it. I love it. The only thing is when you want to use it on the PC, like if my assistant and I are working on it together, when you export it to FreeMind, it kind of gets messed up. So sometimes I'll start out on iThoughts HD because I love just sitting and dragging things around on my iPad, and then I'll export it. So that's a good one. All right. I guess we're out of time. Oh, and everybody look at the pop-in, because that's where you can sign up. Okay? So Dennis, anything else?
No, not for me, Sharon. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope everybody either listening live or watching live or watching the replay got a lot out of this session. I'm sure they have, and they will. Be sure to sign up for Sharon's giveaway. I think you'll get a lot out of that. She's not selling anything, so you can keep your wallet in your back pocket, I guess. Right?
Yep. Yep.
But no, this has been great, and
well, it was fun. I'm glad. Thanks for inviting me. It was a lot of fun.
My pleasure. And maybe sometime again we'll do it.
Okay.
But,
talk about something else.
Yeah, something else. But I don't know who we got next week. I'm working on that still. But we're trying to do this every week, or at least every other week. So go to weeklywebchat.com, and there's an email list to sign up for if you want to be informed when a new chat is coming down the line, and so you won't miss anything. But we also have all the archives of the replays in there too.
Yeah, the previous ones were really good.
Yeah, so far this is the 4th one, so time flies. We've been doing this almost a month, and it's been great. So thanks, Sharon. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for spending your time with us, and have a great day.
Bye, everybody.